Okay.
Hello, my name is Jason Donaldson, and today I'm interviewing Miss Demetra Donaldson. Would you like to tell us about your business?
Sure. So the name of my business is Faith Ministries of Texas, as well as Epiphany 111 Collective. And so ultimately, it is a nonprofit agency that house people. Well, we focus on multiple things, but all things mental health and medical fragile. And so we provide housing for people who are underserved, who are mentally ill, maybe cannot live independently. And so within that organization, we also do just an array of services for helping people who are maybe experiencing um, mental health crisis, such as suicide or homicide. Those who are homeless. We also service those who I have a contract with the county where we provide anger management, life skills, marijuana education, domestic violence classes for those who are court ordered to come see me for counseling services.
Okay, that's all good to know.
Uh-huh.
So, we would like to start off with our first question.
Okay.
Our first question today is: how many times did you fail before you found success in your business?
Wow. So, um, I'm a lot, I'm sure. For me, failure is a setup for success. So I don't typically look at failures as what the word is failure. I kind of look at it as challenges. So when I started because I was working for the state of Texas doing mobile crisis, which means we will go to seven counties, and if someone is saying that they want to kill themselves or other people, or maybe drug or need drug treatment, we will go to that county, to the hospitals, to the jails, to the homes. And if they were in need of assistance or did not want assistance, we will fill out the warrant, get the police out, and get them into the hospital for psychiatric services. So I did that, and that's how I kind of came into doing the homes, was because when I would go into the homes, they were so deplorable and they weren't really caring for the clients, and there was a level of re-entry into the hospitals. And so I took a leap and I started my own homes, and it has been successful because one of our goals were to ultimately keep people out of the hospital, and that's what the challenges were. It's hard to minimize mental health crises when you're in a house in a room of 8 people, having multiple people in your house. So we had a lot of challenges in the beginning just because we had to figure out the sweet spot on how to help someone while they are faced with challenges in the house with other people who are experiencing the same similar type of mental health crisis.
Well, you almost answered the second question. Let's get to the second question. What are your biggest challenges, as you stated, being in a house full of mental health patients of 8 people? What are your biggest challenges running a nonprofit organization?
So I would say one of the biggest challenges that we do experience and have is funding. So of course we're servicing a population that don't have funds. They have very minimal funds, and so having to get support for them, it can be extremely difficult. Medications for people who are mentally ill, unfortunately, can create the need to want to eat excessively. And so, because of that, sometimes our grocery bills are extremely expensive. And so that becomes an issue in the home. And so, funding is just an all around problem all the way around, not just in the home, but just when it comes to getting people services that they need. And so, um, you know, for me, I think building partnerships and relationships with the community, you know, it helps, but having them to give to us consistently for sustainability, it's been a problem. It's been a challenge.
Okay. Let's get to the third question.
Okay.
How did you measure the impact of the workload when you first started, and then how do you measure it now?
So initially it was measured by the type, the houses. We started with one house and we ended with six houses. And so in the beginning, we started off really slow because again, you have to learn. A lot of people get in this business and don't know anything about the mental health population. And so we needed to see what that was going to look like. How can we be therapeutic in an environment that will help people who come into our homes or who's getting services from us? And so today, I mean, like I said, we have grown to six homes, and sustainability is how we measure that. Sustainability is very important because if we can keep them out of the hospital and on their medication and activities of daily living without a lot of conflict, then we're doing really, really well. And so that's the goal, is to create healthy, safe environments for people to thrive no matter what their illness is.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
Let's get to the fourth question. What are your long-term goals for the organization?
So I have a history of writing grants, and my first grant was like $519,000 that was for the business, and that's kind of how we got started. Using those grant monies to be able to fund our needs when it came to open the home. So I would like to continue to go back into pursuing more grants and contracts for that. Now, the climate that we're in, I don't know if that's going to be successful or possible, but, I would like to, move forward with, fostering additional partnerships with community members who are able to help us support the population that we're servicing. So, to create more, not necessarily more homes, but to be able to update them, do all the things that you would do in your normal home if as they age and as they get older. And then ultimately to be able to give them the opportunity to get resources and identify those resources without having to worry about financial instability. So that would be mostly my goal, is to be able to just identify more funding through grants and contracts and be able to implement those in the business so we can not just for sustainability for us, but we can also help the population that we serve be able to get on their feet and be able to thrive whatever level they are at.
I like that.
You like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Let's get to the fifth question.
Okay.
How do you build and maintain relationships with donors and supporters?
So, that is one of those challenges, is to, we always have to, as an executive, we always have to be prepared. We always have to be ready. We always have to show up. We always have to have ourselves out there. And so one of those challenges is if, because nonprofits typically, the executor is the one that's working, right? And so, getting out there and being participatory at any event that could potentially help get our name out there and help being able to establish those relationships and connections that will help grow our company. So, just mingling, showing up, doing trainings, doing different things that will allow them to come and experience what it's like to be in our environment, and get them to buy in to that.
Okay.
Okay.
And we have it's almost the same thing, but How do you approach partnerships or collaborators with other organizations? Say if someone was to offer you a $10,000 grant, how would you approach them?
So, for me, it would be, so again, a lot of times you research the type of companies that you're looking for that fits within the model that you have for your organization. So, for example, food can be a challenge for this population, right?
Right.
So, North Texas Food Bank would be a great partnership for us. And so, what does that look like? Reaching out to them, developing a relationship with them on, how can, sometimes it takes us offering services our own self. So, example, if we can come and pack up boxes for you of food, would you be willing to give us a box to our home? So, doing different things like that, collaborative things like that, can help us strengthen our partnerships. And so, we would, essentially be able to build real solid relationships so we can help get the goods that we need to get into our homes and into the community. Because again, we don't just do homes, we also, provide counseling services, case management services. It's an array of services that we also provide trainings. I teach people how to successfully open homes and operate them in a way where they're sustainable, not just financially, but also therapeutically.
And our final question today: what is some advice you can give to a student who wants to start a nonprofit organization?
Okay. So research what you are wanting to get into. You need to know, um, how you, because independent funding is not going to always be there. So you must know what it is that the product that you're going to put out there, how it's going to serve the community, how it's going to serve your population that you want to grow a business under, and then where's your funding coming from. So you got to do a lot of research in understanding, what's out there. Collect data, go to the business pages to see what it is, how another business within your model that you want to start, how they're doing it, what you think they're doing successfully, what you think they're not doing successfully. Even reaching out, always be open to getting a mentor to help navigate that. And so I would just suggest, do your research, plan ahead, because when you start a business, you are expeditiously on the move the moment it starts. You don't have time to go back and figure stuff out. So know all of that ahead of time before you do it. The Bible says, write a vision and make it plain. And so if a man perish for the lack of knowledge. So if you don't know what you're doing, and if you don't have a vision, more than likely sustainability would not be in your future.
Thank you.
You're
And that
welcome.
concludes our interview. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, young man. You seem to be an exception. You must have awesome parents.